Coming up, we dive into the big announcements from Samsung's Unpacked event, and Meta might have a new partner for smart glasses.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Double Tap. I am Stephen Scott. Shaun Priest, who are you?
I am Shaun Priest, Stephen Scott. Thank you. How are you, sir?
I am excellent, thank you. And today on the show, we bring you big breaking news. Breaking news. A new phone has been launched by Samsung. I'm trying to get excited.
Stop that. Let's not kick it off in a downer here. It's going to be very, very exciting, possibly.
Is this because we don't want to come across as Apple biased, so we're doing this Samsung
absolutely.
segment?
And I'm
Is this why we're doing
my
this?
best.
Okay. Is this why we're doing it? Right.
Let's bring someone else in, quick.
Yeah, please. Let's get someone in who knows his onions when it comes to Android devices. Not that he, like us, ever buys one to use. Marc Aflalo is here from YourTechReport.
How are you?
This does feel like we're doing this because someone's told us to, but it's not the case. Look, I tried to get excited about the Samsung event. I did spend the whole hour, watching it. It was the longest hour of my life. But yeah, we watched it through to the end, and okay, right, look, it wasn't the most exciting, but look, we did get a new phone out of it. We did get a lot of talk about AI. Did get some cool announcements about Gemini as well. So, Mark, let's dive in. What's the big announcement here? What's the big story?
Well, the big story is it's the S25. This is the new flagship from Samsung. This is their opportunity in the spotlight to obviously talk about what they've got new. A little lackluster, I'm going to be honest. I mean, if you go online and watch some of the initial reviews from the people, you know, like Mr. Who's the Boss, MKBHD, they even try and dupe us by showing us the old phone and saying it's the new one. But listen, the S25, S25 Plus, S25 Ultra, minimal external changes, same sizes, 6.2 inch, 6.7 inches, slightly smaller bezels, so you'll get the impression that you're getting a bigger screen. They've squared off the edges on the Ultra. They've got a larger camera bump, rings, and new color options across the board. But that's pretty much where the differences are. Yes, we'll dive into software, I'm sure, in a couple seconds here, which is something they could probably do for the S24. But really, that's it. There were no watches. There were no smart glasses. That's it, guys. Like, I don't understand why you put all this money into marketing and talking about a new product that is just iterative. Like, maybe Apple had the good idea way back when we had these S series phones. But do we need an event and pomp and circumstance for something that what's old is new again?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're going back to the argument of, do we need a new phone every year, aren't we here? Just because, as you mentioned, the hardware-wise, not much to talk about, really.
Yeah. It's hard not to go back to that argument. It's hard not to go back to it, okay? But let's throw that argument aside for a second. Let's talk about the phone, okay? People are Samsung fans. They love their Samsung devices. They will get a new phone every year. Okay, but they like little bits of hardware that does change. They want a better camera. Like, whenever someone asks me, is it worth it to get a new phone? No matter what the phone is, you know, insert brand name here. I always ask them, what do they use it for? And really, it tends to come down to the camera. Like, if you're capturing moments with your family and that's what sets it apart for you and you want the highest quality there, then I say always get that new phone or get that new device because it always has a better camera. We're not even seeing that improvement here. So This is why I'm a little bit confused as to why we even had an event today. It's almost like you felt, we have to do something because this is the time we have to do it, and they're scared to deviate from that. Like, maybe, I don't know, wait a couple months and come up with something that is a little splashier. I don't quite understand the mentality there. I'd love to be in the room to ask those questions, to be perfectly honest, because if I were going out to buy a new device and I'm on an S24, this is not even a question. I'm not upgrading. I'm not.
Yeah, this is definitely appealing to the people who are perhaps on the S20, S21. They may be looking for an upgrade, and this might be a good time to do that. And of course, a lot of contracts now you get will be 3-year, right? So for those people, it might be a good time to upgrade. And certainly, it's a good choice of device. I mean, let's not take it away from Samsung. They do make really, really good and sexy hardware. And that's one thing I've always liked about them. I often think Samsung, Google Pixel, the best Android phones out there. And I know I'll get emails. I know Motorola do good stuff. I know LG good stuff. I know they do. But you know what? I think at the top end, and we are talking top end here, this is a really, really nice device. But, why are they selling it? Because they want to make more money. They want to get a new phone, and that gets more people buying. And, of course, the reality is, and I think eventually they'll come to that conclusion, that people are just not buying on a yearly basis. No one's going to replace their phone every year unless you're guys like us that are reviewing them. And even then, we try and get them for nothing. Samsung, just saying. Although I have to say after this, perhaps, but maybe not.
Well, they must be selling, though, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They must be selling.
Listen,
the S24 was one of the biggest selling smartphones of last year.
Listen, as Steven said it, Samsung's S devices, these Galaxy devices are great phones. Like, when you look at the worldwide rankings of smartphones, you've got, Apple, you've got Samsung, you've got Google. Like, there's no question about that. Okay. Yeah. Other people make great phones and other people have tried and stopped. OnePlus is probably up there on the top 4 as well. Okay. With devices. But, very few companies are pushing the envelope on the hardware side. I know you guys aired a little bit of my interview with Marcel Campos at OnePlus. They're kind of pushing the envelope, but admittedly, they're doing so more so on the software side. It's not as much on the hardware side, and the things they are doing on the hardware side are things like increasing the IP rating. It's not really changing much else. So that being said, do we need to upgrade every year? No. Do they need to come out with phones every year? Maybe they do, but maybe they do because they need to future-proof their devices. And, okay, new processors are out. Let's make sure that's in there. But do you need to come out with such fanfare and all this hype around it? That's where I think we don't need to be wasting a lot of energy there. Just come out with a new device, and when you have something really splashy to show, then maybe that's where you spend your attention and your marketing attention and everything else at the end of the day. People who are, rocking a device that's older than a S24 and it's time to upgrade. Yeah, of course, get the S25. Why wouldn't you do that? Maybe they're getting rid of the S24 entirely from their lineup, which is kind of what Apple was doing with the 15s, right? When the 16s came out, there were the Pros are gone. Like, this is your option now. So it makes sense, and it gives them the opportunity to have the latest hardware in there so they can build the software and the solutions and everything else that go along with it. But it doesn't need the fanfare, I think, that goes along with it. And that's where I think we as insiders here are a bit like, whatever. It's not really about the device, right? As much as all this hype that comes around with, they're going to come out with something. I think maybe we need to temper our expectations.
Yeah,
we say that
it's the
every
AI.
time.
It's the AI, though, isn't it? Because that was really the story here that fed right through the whole event was and I must admit, I was a bit confused, as I know you were too, Shaun, about, hang on, Galaxy AI, Gemini AI. Which one are you selling me?
Bixby still there?
I thought Bixby,
that's ridiculous.
Bixby is gone. When they mentioned that Gemini Assistant is basically now the side button, I thought, what? That's it. They've killed off Bixby. But no, it's almost a hybrid. It's a mixture of the two, Bixby and Google Gemini, sort of working together, right?
Sorry, guys. Bixby is the Cortana of assistants. Get rid.
R.I.P.
Send
Cortana.
those two off to the desert island, please.
I miss you.
On the AI side, it's like a Gemini Bixby hybrid assistant, they called it, I think. Okay. I mean, I don't know why they just don't want to get rid of Bixby. I just kill Bixby. Like, bye-bye. We don't care.
Yeah,
well, Gemini's good. We like it. We like Gemini.
The hybrid aspect of it was in the Google Gemini. So you're holding down the side button to summon up Gemini. That's doing your general AI, right? Answering your questions and things. But if you want to add things to your calendar, so once you start sending off the little AI agent to do things on the phone,
that's
Bixby is taking over to actually perform actions in apps such as Notes, as they mentioned there.
I wonder, Shaun.
Calendar. Yes.
I wonder if that's a temporary move until Gemini is ready to be a little bit more interactive with the device. We see it with ChatGPT, right? They've got their little, mode where they can go and actually perform functions. I think maybe we're just not at a place yet where that's ready. So this is their hybrid way of just doing it. Again, there's a lot of self-inflicted pressure on these companies to release something around the same period of time every year.
It's not only that,
before the holidays. Samsung is now. Apple's going to be in September. Okay.
But it's not only that, though, is it? It's about having an edge. So what's the edge for Samsung over a Google Pixel or anything else? I mean, it's funny when you have Google people, as you did, stand on stage talking about the Samsung phone, and you can imagine at some point they just want to say, and by the way, you can get this on the Pixel as well. But
you'll get it a month later or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Or every other phone will get it in 6 months.
Look, you're absolutely right. This was about AI. Okay, the whole thing was just heavy with AI, as you'd expect it to be. And
Of course.
all the things we've said so far, we could equally level at Apple, about the phones being so similar to last gen and everything else.
And we have.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's just mainly on the software. But there was nothing there on the AI front, which I actually thought, oh, that's cool as well. It was all, yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen that before. I've seen that before. The writing tools, the image playground, or whatever they call it this time. Honestly, who really cares? How many people are actually using that stuff?
I made a wonderful emoji of myself.
Well, listen, I actually, do you know what? This is why I'm so glad you're here, Mark, because I have to say there are certain things that we hear about these events that Shaun and I imagine a lot of blind people out there are going, why do we care about this stuff? But, okay, there are
I'm not
reasons
convinced
why
the
this stuff
mainstream
exists.
do either. Mark,
Well, that's what I want to know.
correct us
Right,
on
Mark,
that.
you're the mainstream. Speak for them.
Yes, go on, Mark.
What's the question?
Speak for the world. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's double tap. We don't do that here.
No.
I guess I wonder who uses this. Do you use any of these image sort of creation tools or whatever?
I play with them when they first come out to see what's so exciting about it. My kids like things like the image playground on in iOS. It's a gimmick. Honestly, I find there are better tools for creating images if you want to. It's the smaller tools like the AI editing features in photos. That really shine, that really allow you to really kind of quickly, you capture a moment, oh, something's stuck in it, let's get rid of that moment, let's fix that and let's send it to somebody. It's the upscaling of things that may have looked bad in the first place, and AI can help you now do that. It's some of the cool video features where you can have this almost cinematic kind of pan in and out or zoom in and out or focus in and out on different elements of a shot, and you can get a little bit more creative with the camera on the device. Those are the small things that I think are more useful, as are things like summarizations and things that help you experience your device and experience your life a little easier. Those simplify my life. I can see a quick summary. It's not always great, obviously, especially on the iOS devices. It's getting better,
it's handy.
but
Yeah.
it's handy. Exactly. It saves me. I'm not just glancing going, what is this? Oh, notification from Shaun. I can see context. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's urgent. I need to look at this. Or, and this is where I'd love to see AI evolve, but no one's actually done it yet. And that is, I think we're getting there to a point where it's going to be interactive with our apps and our contacts and our calendars. Can I tell you a very interesting story? Probably about 15 years ago. I had an idea in my head and I emailed Steve Jobs. Okay. I still have that email somewhere. And the idea is like, I wish there was an assistant or something on my device that would know that I'm running late for my next meeting, automatically notify that person that I'm running late, ask them if they want to reschedule, and if they do, reschedule that meeting. And by the way, if I'm traveling on my trip while I'm doing this, if my flight is going to be affected, automatically go reschedule my flight and adjust all of these things in my life accordingly. But don't even tell me that you're doing this. When I get out of my meeting, I get a notification saying, by the way, you are running late and the traffic is heavy. We've rescheduled your meeting a half hour later and you're on the next flight. Those kind of things
That's
and those
amazing
kind of things
idea.
that work in my life would be absolutely game changing.
So are you saying
that's the agent, isn't it?
AI actually stands for Aflalo intelligence? You created the AI.
I'm not claiming anything. I have no trademarks or anything.
I
didn't
believe
put
you
any
did.
disclaimers on there. But this is where I think that we're this whole generation of interactive AI, where it's actually doing something and actually acting on your behalf. Obviously, you give it guidelines, right? Okay, access my Expedia account, do up to charge up to $500 if this is the situation and stuff like that. But real small things that. Example like Waze, like when Waze first came out and they had the option to actually see what traffic would be like tomorrow, so when you have to leave, or being able to put the travel time in an iOS calendar meeting so it can notify you should leave now. Those are helpful things.
And again, though, all those you've just talked about are almost in the background AI, right? It's none of this upfront. Hey, when you're watching a YouTube video, this little toolbar will pop up and you can make an animated GIF out of this video using AI. Nobody cares. Everyone plays with that for a second and gets rid of it.
The term is utility AI, right? We want utility AI. We want AI that can actually do things that are helpful. These other things, I think, are almost like a gateway drug into AI. It's, it sparks your... Listen, my son just created an app for school. He didn't code a line. He used a tool called Cursor. It ties right into Apple's Xcode development software. And he, in natural language, say, create a framework of an app that does this for me. And then with constant natural language, he'd update it and tweak things. And, I had the conversation, is this cheating? Is it not? But really, at the end of the day, if developers are going to be out there using tools like this, and is it cheating? You're not cheating. You're just doing it in a different way.
And I've got to say, guys, that is a very accessible tool as well, because I know of some blind developers and low vision developers who are, playing around with this stuff and really getting some great results. And of course, and it opens up the door to, lots of opportunities for everyone to get involved. And what you're talking about there, you talked about that letter or that email you sent to Steve Jobs 15 years ago. It reminds me of a call I got, or actually an email I got myself. Not from Steve Jobs.
From Steve Jobs? Am I missing out here?
That's right, exactly. Just around that time saying, I don't know who this Aflalo guy is, but you tell him to stop calling me. But no, it was interesting because I got in touch, a listener got in touch with me to say that they were looking for a way to know when it was raining outside. Yeah. Because, what was the way? And I remember at that time, that was around 15 years ago, we got it to the show I was doing before. And I remember... I don't know if you were with me at the time, Shaun, but I remember we were looking into the solution to this, and there was a box that you put outside your house with a cable that ran through the window that would essentially alert you.
Like a water detector, but put it outside for rain.
Yeah, but put it outside, and this was to help blind people know when it was raining. Now, of course, these days you just say, Lady A, is it raining? She tells you. And you just think, wow, how things have changed.
Even that, guys, though, still having to do something. I know this is pathetic, right? I know still having to ask Lady A that question. That takes time, energy. Did I remember to even do it?
Yep.
But if you wake up, right? And you wake up and something can detect that you're awake now, whether it's getting up and turning the light on in the bathroom or something like that, whatever you do first thing in the morning, and you can instantly get, good morning, Shaun. It's raining outside. Don't forget to dress accordingly. By the way, your meeting this morning is canceled and traffic is really heavy. You should leave a couple minutes earlier. Yeah, I didn't do anything. I just woke up and it helped me. That's
the one thing we haven't got to yet. And they did talk a little bit about this at the event. They did say, there's this morning briefing, which again it kind of gets close to that. It's nowhere near what you're looking for.
But it can be done. This stuff can be done today. There's ways around it.
Echo Routine can do something similar.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, you can, if I've got smart light switches in my house, so I know when I turn the light on in the bathroom, I can trigger something. So I could trigger a routine, or I could trigger a script or a shortcut.
Motion sensor can do it. Yeah.
I tell you what,
you have to put the energy in to do it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Back to the Samsung event, something
Samsung.
that did pique my interest was my Apple TV actually died during the Samsung event. It actually went into recovery mode, which I've never seen it do before.
Wow.
I think it got bored and just turned itself off. But it got to the point where it was talking, was it about connected AI for IoT? So smart devices it was talking about, and the ability for it to monitor, it was talking about cross-platform smart devices, the ability to monitor your wearable to see when you were asleep and then, close down the house. Turn your lights
think about this for a second, okay? This ties into what we're just talking about. Think about the sensors, the watches we wear, the smart rings we wear. We're at the point now where we have things like Thread and Matter. So Matter is now this cross-platform smart home platform that basically everybody is going to support new products going forward. So your light switches can talk to your plugs, to smart your water detector, to your ring, to everything. Okay, that's Matter. Thread enables interoperational networks in your home so that all your IoT devices can talk to each other and not necessarily need the internet. Okay, so we've got the foundations of all this stuff. All our new devices are going to have that. So this new connected AI, think about manufacturers like LG. They've got a microwave, they've got the watchtower, they got the fridge, they've got, all these different tools. You've got appliances that are now connected. With all these things connected and talking to each other, this can be an incredible utility to your life, and it can, allow AI to seamlessly kind of integrate and communicate across all these devices and platforms, hopefully with your instruction, of course, as to how you want to make your life better. And it'll basically allow you to almost collaborate with all of these things in your life to make your life a little bit different and maybe a bit smarter in the process.
Now, the interesting thing here is that at the moment, a lot of this technology sold by Samsung is inaccessible in some way or another, especially when you're talking about appliances in the kitchen. And I often wonder if AI can almost bypass that problem. instead of having to worry about an app, for example, that's inaccessible to you on your smartphone. Instead, you can just talk to your device and say, turn this on, turn this off, set a timer, do whatever, turn on the dishwasher. That's the bypass way of doing it, right? AI can do that.
But
that's exactly the mainstream approach.
That's exactly what you were talking about, for example, with Cursor and just programming, right? We're bypassing the need to learn how to code, let alone you learn how to use Xcode and the tools that are out there. We're bypassing it and giving ourselves an alternative way of using those tools, whether it's with our voice or natural language or just typing to it. And if you can take that cookie cutter and do it for, as you just said, if you can now just talk to Lady A or talk to a SmartThings device or even talk to a HomePod if it's Matter compatible and control your other devices. Well, I mean, set my microwave to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Restart it if maybe there's sensors now we can throw into these devices. I've got smart thermometers for my meat on my barbecue,
Yeah.
Sure, give me a notification it's time to flip. But if the thermostat can know what the temperature is and know what I want to get it to, why can't it do actions on my behalf?
I was kind of thinking, look, Matter sort of years ago when it was first talked about was the ultimate thing of getting these things to talk together, breaking out of those ecosystems.
Yeah.
But I was kind of, when I heard this, I was thinking, what about AI services talking to each other? Google Gemini talking to ChatGPT, and sort of just the open standard there would be really cool as well. So there's not. The what do they call it? The personal data engine was a big thing they made a deal about. Was the being able to personalize the AI, so every bit of information about you stays on the device, the Samsung device. It keeps everything secure and private. Fantastic, but I'd love a way for you train an AI with your personal data once, and then every AI you use after that digs into that. Some sort of open encryption standard that could do the same thing that we're talking about for smartphones with Matter, but for AI services as well.
Just check the inbox now for all the privacy nuts out there, because this is going to open a can of worms when it comes to, let's share your data with OpenAI, with Gemini.
We did try all this before. Remember the smart kettle that was leaking out information, not just water all over your kitchen, but data as well.
Yeah,
people were actually hacking in through the kettle.
There is such a thing as open source encryption, right? With keys and private keys and public keys. You could still have it so it's still secure, still open source, still open to other services that you give permission to, and still be universally accessible. I just think that would be very cool.
It's almost like a data repository, like a human data repository that is bits and pieces are accessible by those services that you allow it to have access to and choose what it can access, when it can access. So basically, this is Shaun Priest's brain, so that when he decides to get hit by a bus, we can implant it into Steven's head. But at least it's Shaun's like this.
That's a quick download anyway. You're fine.
Have you ever gone into like Gemini or into ChatGPT, whatever you use most often? Have you ever gone in and asked it questions about you? Like ask it what it actually remembers? And I didn't do this intentional. I did this by mistake, because I asked it, I'm like, I want to do a quick one-line bio for, I don't know, it was some event. I'm on a Riverside event next week and they wanted a bio. I said, write me a quick one-line bio about Marc Aflalo. Ask me questions. And it didn't ask me any questions because it knows everything about me. Because I've fed it bios, I've fed it information, it knows my writing style. It remembers everything, and it was able to pretty accurately write a one-line bio about my life. I can't even explain what I do, and it managed to do that for other people.
That's incredible. Look, I want to dig in more to this because, in particular, I think 3 key areas that stand out from the event. One, the hardware itself. The One UI 7, which I want to talk about, which is essentially the operating system which is running on the Samsung device. I want to understand a little bit more about this because I don't feel I understand it. And Gemini as well, because there's some cool new features coming exclusively first to the Samsung Galaxy S25. Let's start with the hardware. Talk me through the hardware. What essentially is on sale here? What would you be getting for your money, and what are the different options?
Okay, well, there's the S25, so that's the entry level, which is basically you get what you get. You don't get upset. You get the S25
that's the iPhone
Plus.
16, right?
That's a 16. Then they got 620 S25 Plus, which is the iPhone Pro, the 16 Pro, and then you get the S25 Ultra, which is the Pro Max. So you got larger amounts of RAM. That's basically where that gets its benefits from. And across the board, I mean, we've got the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which gives it's a next generation Snapdragon processor. So you do get enhanced performance and efficiency, especially in places that are memory intensive, like AI and gaming, for example. Every device starts with 128 gigs of base RAM. When you get to the Ultra, you're at 256. So definitely, we're at that stage now where 128 is our base. If not, honestly, it should be higher, I think.
Yeah.
They've added a vapor chamber, a larger vapor chamber to the Ultra. This is for heat dissipation. So for people who are doing intense things like video, if you're videoing for long periods of time, you want to be able to dissipate the heat better so that it lasts longer. You've got that on the actual Ultra. Slightly smaller bezels, as I talked about off the beginning, so it gives you a little bit, at least the impression of a larger screen, even though the screen sizes are pretty much identical. New Gorilla Glass for durability. So again, we are getting benefits. Now, cameras, there is a new ultra-wide 50 megapixel camera that replaces the 12 megapixel ultra wide. So you do get enhancements there. Other camera specs are pretty much unchanged. The battery is identical to the S24 series. That being said, with new processors and memory and those kind of changes, we tend to get better battery life as generations come, even if the battery is the same. They also can sometimes, slim down certain things around it to accommodate that. So that's really on the hardware side. I had the pricing here a second ago. I think it was $11.29. Here it is. I'll give you Canadian pricing, okay? So the 128 gig model, the base is $1198.99. That goes up all the way to $1618.99, and the Ultras start at $1918.99, all the way to $2400. Colors in the base, not the Ultra, are Silver Shadow, Mint, Icy Blue, and Navy. And then on the Ultras, you got titanium black, titanium gray, titanium silver blue, titanium white silver is what they are saying. Which is
right, stop making those noises, Stephen Scott. No one cares about the colours.
I want the navy one. I like the navy or the icy blue. I like that.
We didn't see the Samsung Galaxy Thin then that was rumoured.
No, so they're saying that's going to come almost like an SE type model that's going to come down the road.
Right.
It's going to be normally what happens is we get the same innards as the S24, but something something on the exterior will change. So maybe it'll be thinner, maybe it'll be plastic, won't be as resistant to dust and water and stuff like that. We tend to not see that necessarily at the same time as they do their flagships. I mean, I'm surprised we didn't see a watch or buds or any of that kind of stuff here as well. But or the resurgence of the Galaxy Note. Sorry. I had to go
yes. I kind of got excited when they started talking about Samsung. Is it ARX? They call it the virtual reality glasses, but that they said coming soon or to be announced or whatever.
And they kept mentioning glasses, didn't they? And I thought, maybe it's coming.
Yeah, you thought it was coming, right? You thought it was coming. No, but no.
But they never did.
No. Okay, let's talk One UI 7. So this is the operating system. What is this just a fork of Android, or is this something new?
Well, no, One UI it's very popular amongst Samsung enthusiasts, and honestly, it's one of the best UI or skins to Android. This is all Android skins at the end of the day. Your choices are, get a One UI skin for Android, or for Samsung devices, or go to a Pixel and get just the base Android. But there are a lot of similarities across the board. What they've added in One UI 7 here is there's a now bar, they call it, otherwise known as a dynamic island. They define it as a pill-shaped addition to the status bar that expands when tapped, displaying live activities at the bottom of the screen, including on the lock screen.
God, so unique.
Did they actually say pill-shaped?
Oh, yeah, that's pill-shaped. Here we go. Here's another one. So there's a vertical app drawer now. So you can now switch the app drawer to vertical scrolling, offering different navigation experiences. One UI 7 now integrates advanced AI features such as writing assistant tools, more intuitive user experiences. Again, we saw this in Gemini on the Pixel devices. So now we're seeing how they're integrating into their own UI. Because here's the thing, they love the Samsung UI. They love One UI, whether it's One UI 7 or One UI 6, et cetera, et cetera. But they weren't able to take advantage of some of those extended AI features that came out in Gemini because it just wasn't tied into the actual theme itself, So now it's more tightly integrated. Camera interface, it's been overhauled for better feature reachability and usability, especially with the larger devices. Trying to get your thumb across to something doesn't always work as well as you'd like to do. Lock screen customizations, those new clock styles, widget options, galleries, routines, voice recorder, more personalized lock screen experience, basically. Stackable widgets, something we've seen on other, platforms. I mean, even Google had it. Of course, Apple's had it in iOS as well. And enhanced security and privacy. So new security features, basically to protect the AI usage at the end of the day. And that's where the changes are. But people, this is where, the hardware is one thing, but the software is always what excites me because it's new things every day. And they can do it now.
Absolutely.
They just do, and they do it.
I'd be interested to see if this is hardware locked, or I should say software locked. If you get one UI 7 for the S24, for example, are you locked out of some of those AI features?
I don't think, based on the specs of these devices, that there are going to be any AI features that they announced today that aren't going to be backwards compatible, given how similar the S24 is to the S25 in specs.
They may just hold
nothing
back that release until maybe 6 months or something, just to give you a chance to sell the other ones.
Google goes on stage at the Samsung event to talk about their great features. You're going to get it in 3 months on a Pixel.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. It's all about timing, right? This is probably why they still do these events in January, because they can get that exclusive period to try and get sales. But, I mean, come on, if you're a Pixel user, you're going to have a little bit of envy for 3 months?
I was listening to the event, looking out, as I always do, for anything accessibility related. There wasn't much. 2 things I think stood out. One was you can now ask your device or tell your device that your eyes are tired.
Yeah, I got excited for a second.
So did I. I thought, what's this?
It'll
turns
turn
on a
on
screen
the blue
reader,
light.
makes the text big. But no, it just turns on the, what is it, the mood light or something? What's it called?
The blue light, isn't it
the
called?
Blue light. Oh, yes, not mood light. Yeah, the blue light.
No. That's a totally different command.
Yeah, exactly. That's
mood
right.
light.
And then the other one, which I thought, it's not accessibility really, but it may be of interest to blind people, and that was the audio eraser function, which is, again, this is something that's
it's an AI tool for audio.
Yeah. So it's an AI tool. You can actually separate out all the elements of a background. So it will say voice or, wind or whatever. You can actually get all the access to the individual elements and then just mix it yourself, which is kind of interesting. Obviously,
kind of like
for the
what
purpose
we
of
could
video.
do on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, right? The
With
studio
voice memos, wasn't it? Or voice memos?
No,
I think
that was inside when you were recording videos, and that's the same thing here. But this is across the board. I don't think this was just for the Ultra. This audio eraser.
No, that's right. Whereas the other one was purely for the Pro Max, which was kind of interesting.
Right.
Yeah, on the Mac.
It was cool. Of course, the question I want to ask is with Samsung. I've heard there's people on each side of this, but with Samsung's version of TalkBack, and now with this integration with Google Gemini, are we going to see the new AI? With the image description from Gemini in TalkBack, are we going to see this in Samsung's version?
Well, we don't know yet. Is the short answer, and certainly we know that TalkBack 15 will come to Samsung devices without that feature. But again, like you say, with the upcoming, and I say upcoming because Gemini is already available as an app on those devices, but there are new features coming, right, Mark? So you're going to get AI vision. There's another feature of that was coming as well, I think, later in the year down the line. But essentially, AI is going to get a bit of an improvement. And Gemini in the app will get live vision. That's new.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it all, guys. This is where it shines, right? This is where we get the iterative updates that make the phones exciting again,
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, thanks for coming on. It's been great talking to you. YourTechReport.com, SiriusXM across North America and on podcast and everywhere else you can think of. Teeth fillings, anything you can think of, you will find Your Tech Report.
Teeth fillings.
Mark, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Always good to get Mark on and talk about the latest announcements. There are some other stories I want to bring up, though, Shaun, before we go today. Well, we've still got a bit of time left, so let's talk through these. I don't know if you heard this one. Meta, we all know, of course, about the Meta Ray-Bans. I'm wearing them. You wear yours regularly, religiously, probably. Well, you know what? Ray-Ban, it's going to become this thing, right? We just say Meta Ray-Ban now. We just say that. But Meta are working with other companies as well. That may not be a surprise. It may be a surprise.
I'm surprised.
They are, well, I must admit, when I read it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But from the point of view of, okay, cool, something different to buy. I like it. So they're partly working on upgrades to the smart glasses and are exploring new wearable devices, as we've heard about before. We certainly heard about it at Meta Connect. They're talking about, potential watches, camera-equipped earbuds. Remember that one they were talking about?
Yep.
Basically putting more AI into more products, okay? But the effort includes developing Oakley-branded smart glasses for athletes this year. Now so Oakley, as we know, I don't know if you know, but it is a fairly well-known brand. I mean, it must be well-known if I know it, because I'm not a brand person.
It's another designer brand, isn't it?
It is.
Well, let me say, it's quite expensive brand. When are they going to do the cheap £5 sunglasses from the gas station that I want? Let's see a collaboration with them. Why has everything got to be the designer?
You want the Oho Sunshine glasses that were on sale from Amazon. It's funny, actually, because I saw someone had mentioned, I think it was our good friend Tim Dixon had talked about them the other day on social, and I was thinking, do you know what? You kind of forget that that's there, right? And actually, that is a brilliant thing. I mean, if you don't want the cameras, if you don't care about the cameras, if you're just wanting audio sunglasses, there are cheap options out there that you can get really good price on, especially on a sale sometimes on Amazon. You can get some really great deals on them.
I've got a few pairs between me and Sarah. We got a few pairs of the Oho Sunshines. They're nice glasses. Simple as that. They work well. Yeah.
The Rumens.
The audio.
Was it Rumen?
Oh no, I don't have
Remember
those.
that one?
No.
That was the first one I got, because the Ohos came. Well, I don't know which came first, the Oho or the Rumen. It's the question.
Well, what we're saying is that there are, you can pick up glasses under $100, right? Audio headphones. It's once you start getting the glasses and the AI processing that the price starts to come in. But are the Oakley ones going to be any cheaper? What's the difference here between these and the Ray-Bans?
Well, it says these are for athletes, which is interesting. And this is according to rumors that are going around. Meta's Devices Group Reality Labs also plans to release new high-end glasses with a built-in display in 2025, said the people who asked not to be identified because the initiatives have not been announced. Well, that makes sense. Other products underway would compete with Apple's smartwatch and AirPods. Now, of course, Mark Zuckerberg was on the Joe Rogan show. I don't know when he was on the show, but he was on it very recently. And he was kind of slating Apple. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to rephrase that. He was slating Apple.
He was. He didn't hold back.
No, he did not.
These sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? Culture wars or whatever it may be. It seems like everyone's being sucked in. You would never have seen this sort of, I don't know, opinions just made so publicly before, surely.
Something has changed. There's a tone change.
Yeah.
Can't think what's changed it, Shaun. Can't think.
Me either.
No idea.
What was he saying anyway?
Well, ultimately, he was slating Apple for lack of innovation. This is coming from Zuckerberg. I mean, when did that Facebook website change? Oh, wait, recently. And it was all broken from accessibility as well. So thanks for that, Zuck. But no, he was talking about that. He also, I was listening to some of it where he talked about, and this is kind of interesting. I don't know if I disagree entirely here, but he was talking about the way that devices connect to Apple devices and how that, the simple way that an AirPod, if you buy AirPods, how they just seamlessly connect in to the device. As soon as you open them up, they just appear on your device. Do you want to connect to these? Yeah. And that's it. They're connected. No hassle, no fumbling around in Bluetooth settings. And he was saying, more devices should be available to be connected that way, but Apple kind of hold it all back so that, essentially, you have to buy the Apple products to get that experience. Of course, you can buy other products and connect them in different ways. That's how it works. But he was kind of saying, more devices should be available and to access this.
I don't disagree.
And he made the point, a lot of people push to privacy. He said, but you know what? They can build in encryption keys to this. They can build in security. They just don't. Now, Apple didn't comment on that, obviously. I can imagine what they would say if they were going to comment. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's a kind of grey area for me with Apple. I often think, yeah, you know what? You could open up a bit more. We've said this before. They could open up their devices a little bit more. Like for us, for example, being easily able to connect our Meta Ray-Ban glasses to a camera app so that, for example, Seeing AI or Ira, Be My Eyes, whatever it would be able to get easier access to that camera. Apple does lock all that down. Look at the Vision Pro. They locked it all down. So you can't argue with that. That's true.
You also can't argue
it's interesting to hear Meta's, as Mark Zuckerberg, making that statement so publicly.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, Meta, where's Ira built into the Meta View app? Be My Eyes got in there, but you've closed the door to everyone else. You won't talk to anyone else, apparently. I mean, well,
That's a fair point. Yeah, we've spoken to companies who've been trying their best to get in with Meta, and they've said no. But of course, look, it's early development. I suppose you could argue. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, the whole thing here is to build these, and this is obviously a huge year for Meta in a lot of ways. They want to create new products. They're really looking to create the first true augmented reality product, so moving into visual as well as audio, as well as cameras, all of that. They want to have everything in the glasses, and that's going to be the challenge, to create that full augmented reality experience. They say it's going to be coming up around 2027. And we know roughly about that because we heard about it. It's Project Orion, right? That's what that is.
That's right, which sounds very impressive, right? And to be fair as well to Meta, I mean, the whole Llama AI is, well, they call it open source. Now, I've heard people talk about how it's not really open source, or there's some sort of caveat to that, how people can actually use that open source Llama AI. But to be fair to them, it is something that you can use. So, yeah, it's so strange. Sometimes they're, when it comes to AI, they seem very open, and they seem closed off in other ways.
So according to this reporting, which I should say is from Bloomberg and John Gurman, who's a well-known voice in this community, and certainly seems to get a lot of scoops on this kind of thing. He's been reporting on Bloomberg that, as we know, obviously Meta has the connection with Ray-Ban, and they've created the Ray-Ban glasses. But of course, they stop short at essentially being an audio and camera product. They're not an AR product. However, the second edition, Meta apparently are broadening the smart glasses tech to other fashion brands. And this will include a new version dubbed Supernova 2, the original, that is actually what Meta Ray-Ban is internally called, is Supernova. Supernova 2 is based on Oakley's, and I'm going to completely butcher this, so I apologize, Sphera. I don't know. Could have just called it Sphere. But anyway, Sphera glasses. Good luck Googling that. But the
Sapphire.
model, I don't think it's Sapphire. It's, let me see if I can spell it. Sphera. Wow. No idea.
Yeah. No, I'll go with you. Sphera. Okay.
It sounds like a car, doesn't it? It sounds like
it does.
Vauxhall Sphera.
Sphera.
It sounds like someone on a Friday was told on the phone on a bad line what the new car was going to be called. I think he said Sphera, but I don't know. The line was bad. Just call it that.
Okay,
anyway,
so what's special about
model,
these? Yes.
Yeah, this model will shift the camera, apparently, and this is all rumor, but, this is what we're hearing, shifts the camera to the center of the glasses frame and will be aimed at cyclists and other athletes. So there you go.
What on earth difference does that make?
Well, I suppose for cyclists that makes sense because your helmet would cover the cameras potentially or obscure view. So the camera being in the center would be good. I don't know if that's a good thing for us or not. I kind of think it might.
Doesn't make any difference. The way the camera is angled currently on the Meta Ray-Bans, the camera is on the left-hand side of the frame, and it's angled towards the center anyway. So it's not shifted to the left, if you like, your point of view. So doesn't make too much of a difference. But yeah, maybe. I do still get, if I'm wearing a hoodie, when I'm taking the dog out in the morning, it will say, it's covered or I can't see anything. So yeah, it can be obstructed easily. So I goes, yeah, maybe.
Anyway, Bloomberg go on to report, and John Gurman reports, the biggest upgrade this year will be a new higher-end offering that uses a design closer to the current Ray-Ban glasses, codenamed Hypernova. This model will include a display on the bottom portion of the right lens that projects information into a user's field of view. So this is not AR, augmented reality as such. The idea here is you could run simple software apps, view notifications, and see photos taken by the device. Capabilities that get a bit closer to the long-promised AR experience, according to this article. I would say very close to what Google Glass was, because that's exactly what Google Glass was. It had a tiny little screen at the top left of your field of view.
Well, for text only, the fact that it can show images that you've just taken.
Oh, yeah. When did Google Glass come out compared to these, right? So, you expect more.
You're absolutely right.
It's better than Google Glass, goodness me. But however,
I worry that this is the direction we're going. I mean, having that, the visual aspect built into these glasses, what is the price going to be?
Well,
that's going to add a hell of a price shift on that.
It is. And according to this article, some employees involved in the project expect Hypernova glasses to cost around $1,000 compared with a $299 starting price for the current Meta Ray-Bans. So there you go.
It's a bit of a worry. Okay.
Other elements to this, of course, we did see some of this at the Meta Connect event. There's talk of a smart watch to control the glasses, or a wrist strap, actually, more appropriately called, to control the glasses.
Again, from
touch controls
Orion,
on the frame's
right?
temple and all that stuff. I mean, this is all interesting, and of course, this is all part of Orion. We shall see. Samsung, of course, as we were just talking about, we heard a lot about glasses. We didn't see anything announced. Clearly, something's coming down the line from them, though, and that would be quite interesting to see.
I'm really interested to see what's coming up. There's just so many different new entries into the smart glasses, right? We've got the Lumos coming up. We've got the Echo Visions from a Giga. We got the Ergo Solos. I mean, there's just going to be so many more coming onto the market. It's only good things for us because at some point we are going to see the something like the Oho Sunshines with the ability to tap into AI and have a camera on and live video and things like that. So the more competition, the better for us, because I am slightly I don't know, I'm slightly concerned about just having the Ray-Bans. I still love the Ray-Bans, and Be My Eyes on the Ray-Bans is a fantastic experience, as is Ira, with the WhatsApp workaround. Fantastic hands-free experience. I'm kind of worried about just having Meta in the game at the minute, and the sooner we get more options out there where we could use these services such as Ira and Be My Eyes, the better, for me at least.
There is a little bit of an ethical dilemma, isn't there, developing with some of these
There
companies
is, yeah.
at the moment.
I mean, the trouble is Facebook's always had this, I don't like what they're doing here, with the privacy concerns, what they do with people's data, things like that. And then something comes along and you go, ooh, Meta Ray-Bans, they're cool. I'll overlook that stuff for now.
WhatsApp on the PC, accessible. That'll do me.
That's another thing. WhatsApp, for me, is one of the apps I use every day. It's essential. WhatsApp is absolutely amazing. But yeah, with some of the things that's been happening recently, the fact checking, for example, I really don't like the decision they've made on that. And at some point, you think if there was a different option for the Meta Ray-Bans, I think I'd take it.
Look, I mean, a lot of people are feeling that way. A lot of people voice it regularly and have done to me. And, I get a little bit annoyed by the virtue signalers, if I'm honest. I get sick of the people who tell me I shouldn't be on X because, Elon Musk, ... blah, blah, blah. I get it. I'm not there for Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk isn't following my tweets, posts, whatever X's, whatever you call them. He's not interested in what I'm saying. I'm not there for him. I'm there for the people who respond to me, and there for the community that are on there who are not on other platforms for various reasons. You can't turn around to everyone and say, oh, well, this guy's annoyed. Right, we all go somewhere else, because we'd just be forever doing that. And I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just not interested.
I think it's a personal choice. I think that's down to you.
It is a personal choice.
I'm perfectly happy to recognize my own hypocrisy. I love WhatsApp. I can't see myself moving away from there simply because it makes my life easier. And I realize it's hard to sort of square off that peg, but it is what it is.
Listen, a day may come. Look, a day may come, or something might come out, and you go, do you know, it's just that's the line crossed for me. And I have been asked this question so many times. What will almost like the people want to bully you off the stage in these things. It's like no, get off, don't be on there. You're not a good person if you're on there. I've had people question my morality. The fact that I'm on X. I mean, are you serious? Come on. If that's the case, then you'll never drink a cup of coffee again. Probably you'll probably never buy a computer. Any company you can think of. You could don't go and buy a pair of running shoes, because there's issues there. There's ethical issues there. You can turn to anything pretty much, and you could come up with a reason not to buy it, not to go down that road. I've had people shout at me before for buying from Amazon, and there are still people to this day. I've deleted Amazon. I'm no longer using. Good for you. Good for you. I'm so proud of you. But
You
you know
being
what? It doesn't mean
patronising?
anything. I don't care. Do you know what? I don't care if I'm patronising. Because you know what?
Honestly, I think
These
I
people.
know.
No, I'm sorry.
I do think good for them.
No, I don't think good for them. I think, you know what? You're just virtue signaling, right? Because all the people who said, I'm out of X, I'm leaving today because I don't agree with the... 2 minutes later, they weren't getting their dopamine fix from being told they were liked, so they were all back 10 minutes later. That's
not everyone.
The way it goes.
Some people left and stayed away.
And listen, and I'll tell you, the ones that didn't, or at least said they didn't come back, were checking their accounts. I guarantee it.
Maybe. I know people that say I won't use Amazon because I don't agree with how they run their business. And
yeah, fine, but don't shut me down for using it. That's my point, right?
Well,
you do what you want. You do what suits you, right?
Okay.
You might like tea. I might like coffee. It's not a case of, well, if you drink tea, then you're somehow against the coffee people. It doesn't work like that. It's just a choice, okay? We're in a free market.
All right.
No one's dictating it to us. No one should be dictating it to us.
I think you should
Stop
give up coffee.
the virtue signaling.
Stephen Scott, that's all I'm saying. You ought to lay off the coffee, mate.
Listen, I want to mention this one before we go because this is quite interesting. Although, I don't know. You can tell me. Spotify, not known for the best accessibility in the world on its apps.
Not for the last couple of years, no.
There's an issue at the moment, isn't there, with the media player? It's not working according to Appleviz?
There's a thread running on AppleViz at the moment saying that the when it comes to the player controls, there's an issue there. Apparently, Spotify are aware and keep an eye out for the update, but still slightly clunky.
Ableist.
Spotify on iOS,
Okay, so Spotify are expanding this streaming service to now include educational courses.
Cool.
In addition to music, podcasts, and audiobooks. Yeah, basically they've moved on now. This was referenced in one of its newer features called Courses, which allows users to learn about topics in areas like business, tech, lifestyle, music, and more. Hey, we could learn about tech. That'd be kinda cool.
I'm all for it. Actually, I love those courses. There's so many a while ago, and I tried a few. Of course, the problem with us is, is it accessible? And a lot of ones I tried weren't that great. But look, if it's an audio educational course, it's accessible.
Well,
I'm
you
really
kind of think, right,
interested in
if
this.
it's audio based, then,
Yeah, of
as long
course.
as there's not a practical test halfway through, like a driving lesson, then you're fine. Now, it says it's initially being piloted in the UK, Spotify notes, but further evidence indicates that it may arrive soon in the US. It has turned up. I think it doesn't actually show up as courses in the US yet, but if you search for courses, it seems to turn up, which is quite interesting. Some of the courses include self-care through creativity, delicious vegetarian cooking with Marco Pierre White. Now, I'll come back to that one because that ties into something, actually, that
Don't interrupt my thing. Carry on.
Just don't interrupt my patronising. Communication fundamentals at work. That's beyond me. And plants at home. Uplift your spirit and your space.
Oh, I've changed my mind. Sounds awful. Okay.
But, it's interesting because the cooking one, we've had an email in. We'll get to this email once Laura feels better. But this actually ties into this because he was looking for accessible ways to learn how to cook. So forgive me, I forget your name who got in touch. I don't have it in front of me. But, it's interesting because he was talking about the fact that people had been saying, on Facebook there's recipes and you can go find them. But he's like, actually trying to follow a recipe is difficult, and challenging when you're trying to do it with a screen reader. It's not easy to be able to access the information.
ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini. It's so good for that sort of thing.
Unless it hallucinates and says, stick in a doll or, stick.
There was
a car part.
A podcast series, Cooking in the Dark. There was I remember that podcast series. I have to look that up, but they were excellent as well.
But that was only because the guy's light had blown in the kitchen, right? So there was no other reason for him to...
On that bombshell, I think we'll call it a wrap. Well done, Stephen Scott.
I was fully excited. Just didn't buy a new bulb. Cheapskate. No, I'm only kidding. Cooking in the Dark, yeah, I do remember that. There must be other
I just can't remember where it was. I'm not sure if it was a podcast or posted somewhere, but we'll check that out when we actually get the email ready.
And there are a number of shows on AMI, especially over on AMI TV, that focus on cooking while blind. There was actually one, Four Senses. I remember watching that quite a lot. Four Senses is a great show. Mary Mamaliti, Dish with Mary. That's good. So check that out. You've got it on YouTube. And I think as a podcast as well. But yeah, check out AMI TV for that, because that would be quite interesting. Yeah, there's loads of options out there. Goodness me, we're sitting on a mine of information. It's all
We'll try
inside
and
my head right now.
organize that information a little bit better when we actually get that email read out.
Yeah, we are the opposite of ChatGPT, where it will give you actual information that's useful. We'll just kind of give you a summary of,
We don't
we'll
really
summarize it.
hallucinate. We just go, well, I think I remember that, and there may be this. Yes.
Yeah, thoughtful hallucinations. That's what we are. That's our show title today. So you're not going off to buy a Samsung Galaxy S25 then?
I am not. I'm going back to try and fix my Apple TV. I will say, though, because I was watching the Samsung event and then it just went off. Nothing at all. And no voiceover on my Apple TV. I thought, oh, my remote's died or my TV's died. I used Google Gemini live video to ask what was on my screen. And it told me, it says recovery mode. And I asked it, what button is selected? It read out the buttons, the options, and it told me which one was selected and told me how many button presses to choose the restore option. Hit OK on that. So it was very, very good. I've got to say, something fantastic for like that. I couldn't have used Seeing AI. I could have used Be My Eyes, but it's just that which is highlighted button. I'd have to take a picture, then ask, take a picture, then ask. Using the AI live video feed was fantastic.
Despite all the competition between the companies, at least we've got all these different AIs available on each device. Doesn't matter what one you're on.
No.
And unless you're on Apple, in which case you get Apple Intelligence, which is, interesting. Anyway, we're back tomorrow. We'll catch you then. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.